What up, folks? I'm back once again doing another video game review, and this time I'm reviewing Ghosts N Goblins. Now, if you're as old as I am, you remember that Ghosts N Goblins came out in the arcades during the mid-'80s, around, say, like 1985, 1984. And later, when the NES was released, Ghosts N Goblins was ported to the NES. And one thing about this particular game is that Ghosts N Goblins is very well known for its, I can say it's pretty much legendary for its insane difficulty. You know, and I'll get into that in a minute. It's pretty much probably the hardest game in video gaming history. With that, it's kind of like when you press start, it starts off with a little cutscene of Arthur and his girlfriend like chilling in a graveyard and everything. Then out of nowhere, this demon just comes in and snatches and kidnaps Arthur's girlfriend, and he flies off. Then when Arthur sees it, he pretty much put on his armor and go after the demon who did it. And then like the next thing you'll see is the map of the you pretty much see the map of the stages you have to go through, and with then you play the game. Now Ghosts N Goblins pretty much have 6 stages in it, and each stage lasts for 3 minutes, so you have to get through it before time's up, pretty much. But even though each stage is kind of long, but they do give you enough time to like go get to the boss of that stage and defeat them. One thing about the game itself, it will start you off in the first stage with a lance, and you will get opportunities to get pretty much 3 other weapons throughout the game rather, you know. And the 3 other weapons are the knife, the fireball, and the shield. The fireball is pretty much the weakest and worst weapon in the entire game, mainly because if you throw it and you miss the enemies, you have to wait till the fire goes out to use it again. And it don't help that you can only throw it twice, 2 times every time you use it. And the shield, that one has a short range, but you can stop the enemy's projectiles though, because let's face it, it is a shield, you know. Now the lance, that one, even though it has a longer range than the shield, and you don't have to worry about. And it is stronger than the fireball. The main problem with that one is that when you throw it, it is on the slow side, and it's part of strength, so it's kind of like you're not gonna do nothing to certain enemies. So the best weapon of choice is the knife, mainly because it's the fastest weapon you can throw. Plus, you can defeat certain enemies that the other 3 can't. Like the unicorn is one example of that. And one thing about Ghosts N Goblins is that it has a lot of enemies that you can fight in this particular game. It has a lot of variety, like birds, the unicorns, dragons, zombies, stuff like that. In each stage you have a boss. as like a boss, but I believe that most of them are the unicorns, which you, like I said, you need the knife to get against them. Now, one thing, if you get hit once, you pretty much lose your shit. You pretty much lose your armor, and you get hit another time, you pretty much die. If you die 3 times, you will get a game over. But the good thing about Ghosts and Goblins is that there are unlimited continues there. Not a lot of games that were made for the NES did not have unlimited continues. And one thing one thing that can happen if you get hit the first time, you will have opportunity to get the shield back, but it's not gonna happen a lot. That part does add to the difficulty of the game at large. And now the final monster boss has pretty much 2 faces to it, and the second face that the monster has pretty much is pretty much the torso of the creature itself. And the best weapon I can think of to defeat him is the knife, of course. Now, when you defeat the final boss, one thing you would think that you rescue Arthur's girlfriend, but you'll get this message saying that the whole thing was an illusion, and you have to pretty much beat the game a second time to get the actual ending where Arthur saves his girlfriend. That part was the one thing that made a lot of gamers mad when they beat Ghosts and Goblins that first time. Their facial expressions pretty much told the story, in my opinion. And they were like, I can't believe that I have to beat this game a second time to get the true ending of this game. And that was one thing. That was one of the things that led to a lot of gamers' frustration about Ghosts and Goblins. Not just the difficulty that they have to deal, that you pretty much have to deal with, but you have to deal with it a second time to get the true ending. Now, as far as the graphics and level design, it is pretty good. I can honestly say that both of them are the best graphics and level designs of any Capcom game that was released for the NES. Now the controls, they're good from an overall perspective, but the jumping is kind of stiff, So you have to jump. You do have to time your jumps in that regard. If you have to jump on one platform to another, you do have to watch where the enemies are coming from. So jumping is probably like the worst thing about it, outside the fireballs. If you get that. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention is that when you die, you do keep the weapon that you were using. So make sure you have the knife. You know what I'm saying? Not the other weapons, especially the fireball. So that is the one thing that was emphasized in James Wood's video about Ghosts and Goblins when he asked the angry video game nerd. So you might want to get the knife. He stressed it in his video, and I'm stressing it here. So make sure you get that knife. Now, the soundtrack, it is pretty good. It's kind of like one of those things where if you were to compare it to other Capcom games, like say the Mega Man series on the NES, which is like 1 through 6, and like DuckTales is not as good as those games, but it does hold its own. Plus, in my opinion, the soundtrack does fit Ghosts and Goblins, so you ain't gonna get no big time complaints with the soundtrack. Now, the main complaints with this game, I've mentioned, them, and it's pretty much two. The first one being the difficulty, and the second is the fact that you have to beat it a second time to get the true ending. So beating it the second time, it's really connected to the difficulty itself. So like, as far as the score, I would definitely give it an 8. You know what I'm saying? Even though mainly because the difficulty, you can't ignore how hard. I can't ignore how hard Ghosts and Goblins is. Whether I'm playing it on the arcade version or the NES port. Now with that being said, if Ghosts and Goblins is your favorite game, despite or you want to talk about the difficulty, you can mention it in the comment section. If Ghosts and Goblins is your favorite game of all time, you can mention that also. One thing I can say that if you want like a hardcore gaming experience in terms of the difficulty, this is the game for you. Now, with that being said, if you like this particular video, don't forget to click the thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe. This is your boy, Big Metroid Fan 12 signing off.